For 500 years, this fruit was considered poisonous. It was the fruit of the devil, they said. And across Europe, people believed that it was coated with a waxy substance that tasted like sweet caramel but could kill you in the most agonizing way imaginable. All it took was one bite to bring the pain, and death was guaranteed within 3 days. It didn't matter if you were an old or young, a man or a woman, a child or a baby. This fruit was pure evil. But how could they be so sure that this fruit was cursed by the devil himself? Because it was the only thing that they could think of that could possibly explain why so many members of the European aristocracy were dropping dead after eating them. You see, this fruit wasn't just any fruit, it was the tomato. And when it first arrived from the Americas in the early 1500s, it was an oddity, something that you might grow in your garden for its curious ornamental looks, but not much else, that is, until someone got sick. The story goes that the first recorded death from eating a tomato didn't happen for another 30 years, but when it did, the link between the tomato and the terrible suffering that followed was obvious. In 1544, a wealthy Italian countess died after eating a single bite of a tomato at a party, and since then, scores of Italian nobility fell victim to the mysterious red fruit, including the Duke of Vano, who died in 1556 after eating just one slice of a tomato during a banquet. The stories were similar each time. Some would experience stomach pains and others would suffer intense fevers, but in the end, every single person died. The connection was obvious. The tomato was killing people, but doctors wrote papers on its toxic nature and mothers warned their children to stay away from the poison apple. Even the church got involved, with priests giving sermons about the dangers of eating the fruit. But what if I told you that it wasn't the tomato that was cursed by the devil? What if I told you that it was really this fruit's PR that was poisoned? Because, if you think about it, the story of the deadly tomato makes sense. Wealthy aristocrats were dying horrible, slow deaths after eating a new food, and the only thing different about that food was that it was served to them on their finest plates, the same plates that may have been slowly killing them. It turns out that the real culprit wasn't the fruit, but the pewter plate. See, tomatoes are very acidic, and when that acidity is paired with a heavy metal, it creates a reaction that releases lead into the food, and lead poisoning causes exactly the symptoms that were killing the aristocrats. This was true for anyone eating off pewter plates, which were a common dinnerware for the upper classes throughout Europe. For centuries, they were killing themselves with their own fine china, all while believing that the tomato was the true monster. And the weird thing is that this was true for everyone except the poor. Since poorer folks ate from humble wooden trenchers, they were able to eat tomatoes without getting sick. But the rich either didn't realize that or simply chose to ignore it. After all, why would peasants be eating tomatoes and surviving when the fruit was clearly cursed? It must have been peasants' luck, they thought. So for hundreds of years, the tomato's reputation as a devil fruit remained, even though it was completely innocent. And that's why it's important to consider where we're getting our information from, especially when it comes to sensational stories about toxic foods. Thanks for watching and see you next time.